Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Doing Business in Bentonville. I'm Andy Wilson, and I've got a special guest with me today, Josh Saffran. Welcome to Doing Business in Bentonville.
Thank you for calling me special guest. I do appreciate that.
You are welcome. You know, we were really excited because we're broadcasting from downtown Bentonville, and you have got a great event planned for Plug and Play. Thank you very much for inviting Doing Business in Bentonville here. And today we're going to be interviewing some of your great guests that you have here, but tell all of our viewers what you have planned for today.
Yeah, I'm real excited. We've been doing these expo trend type events for 5 years, and about 3 years ago, we decided to partner with the University of Arkansas, who does such an amazing job in the supply chain space. And so we combined forces, had some cost savings, obviously, in doing that, but more importantly, brought together both sets of folks within our networks. And so this is our third year of partnering with them. We had 400 people sign up. We had Shelley Simpson, and we're going to have Shelley Simpson as keynote speaker for the event, so that is wonderfully planned. And it's all about innovation, supply chain. We're going to have great panelists today. We're bringing in the Hot Ones panel for year 2, where Matt Waller is going to eat spicy wings and talk supply chain. So I'm real excited. A lot of innovation, great startups, great panelists, and more importantly, being able to do this here in Northwest Arkansas with 400 people signing up is very exciting.
Well, that's a wonderful event. And, you know, Josh, you've had great success here with your previous events, and we want to thank everyone for coming and participating. Now, talk a bit about Plug and Play. And it's a global company worldwide. There's events all over the world. So talk about the company and the major. What does the company focus on?
Yeah, we've been here since 2019. We're Silicon Valley-based venture capital, and our team focuses specifically on supply chain. But we have 23 other, we call them verticals or teams, that focus on things like fintech or crypto or insurtech or health tech and things of that nature. And so supply chain makes a ton of sense here for everything going on with Walmart, Tyson, JB Hunt, ArcBest, and others. Mm-hmm. And so what we do is we introduce innovation solutions via startup introductions to corporate partners. So a corporation has a challenge within the supply chain that they're trying to solve. They can't build it or don't want to build it internally. Mm-hmm. We're connected to over 80,000 startups in our global database, and we will source and vet these startups and then introduce them to corporations that will then have meetings with them where they will decide, do we want to buy this technology? Do we want to borrow it? Do we want to build it ourselves? And end of the day, through that process, they will hopefully have pilots and then commercialize the end result.
Josh, again, thank you so much for the opportunity. Now, as we think about today, what are you expecting? What would be the great outcomes? Because I know you and your team have worked very, very hard. So talk about that.
Yeah, this is the third year that we've done this event in collaboration with the University of Arkansas, and we get to see the partnership and collaboration focused on supply chain, which has been great. What we do is really interesting in the community, and obviously what they're doing is fantastic over at the university. We had almost 400 people sign up, so when we show up this morning, I'm so excited looking around the room at the number of attendees that we have here, and we invited fantastic founders, wonderful corporate partners, investors. So I think today what you'll see coming out of this is tremendous amount of networking, tremendous amount of introductions, and hopefully a lot of deals get made. And now I'm not talking about necessarily investment deals, but companies that could use help from startup technology, being able to work with some of these folks going into pilot. So when you look around at the setup in the room and the number of chairs, I'm expecting a full house, and I'm really excited to see how the event goes today.
Well, wonderful, and we're excited to be here again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Andy Wilson, and I am recording at the Plug and Play event downtown Bentonville, Arkansas, and you won't believe who just walked up. Matt Waller, Dr. Matt Waller, welcome.
Andy, great to see you. Thanks for talking to me.
Oh, listen, you're the world-renowned Matt Waller, so of course, you walk by, I had to grab you because, I see you from a distance all the time, and it's usually on LinkedIn or somewhere, and you're doing great things around the world at the University of Arkansas. So congratulations for all that you're doing.
Well, here today, I want to tell you about a panel I'm facilitating.
Okay.
It's really fun. It's the second year we've done it. It's called the Supply Chain Hot Wings Challenge. And for those listening that are not familiar with the concept, we're combining two of humanity's greatest challenges, solving supply chain problems and eating hot, spicy chicken wings. And one thing that they both have in common is they both require strategy, resilience, and a willingness to cry in front of other people. And but today on my panel, I have the Senior Vice President of Supply Chain Management from Tyson, Jeff Lowe, and Senior Vice President, Executive Vice President from J.B. Hunt, Spencer Frazier. And, they're both supply chain experts, but I want to see how their logistics skills hold up in managing this one supply chain today, which is getting increasingly spicy chicken wings in their mouth. But in all honesty, we actually have real questions that have to do with supply chain management, and they will be eating these really hot and spicy chicken wings while they're answering questions. And but I like to say this is where supply chain meets Scoville Index. And, I don't know if that's ever happened before.
I know this. I will be attending that event.
Oh, thank you.
I will be there for sure because I want to see this, and I may try to get some video of this.
Okay.
That we can post when we release this podcast, because I think what this is world renowned, as you said.
I would have to say so.
And see, you have such talent. To pull this off.
Well, speaking of talent, let me tell you what happened last year. So I'm sitting there. It's a different panel, but it's the same concept. And they have these hot sauces lined up in front of me, and they say, okay, this is the mildest, and this is the hottest, okay? And so go from mildest to hottest. I said, okay. Well, I got the order confused.
Of course you did purposely, right?
No, it was accidental.
You didn't? Oh.
And so I put a bunch of the hottest hot sauce on the first wing. I took a bite, and I could barely breathe.
Oh, my goodness.
I thought we were going to have to call an ambulance. Now, fortunately, we didn't, and I did survive, as you can see.
Oh, I love it. Well, the only other person I could think of that you should do this is you should put our friend Josh from Plug and Play in that.
My God.
Really. This is his.
You're right.
This is his event. We should just do it. You should do it because it couldn't happen to a better guy, really.
Well, I think.
And I think you should reverse the sauces again.
Well, what we thought about doing was next year.
Yeah.
Instead of we always have a bunch of milk, big glasses of milk, because that's supposed to help.
Yeah, that's what I understand.
Water.
Yeah.
But next time we're not going to have milk or water. We're going to have bourbon. So I think Josh would really like that.
Josh, okay. I think it is next year. Since Josh seems to be the bourbon guy, right?
Exactly.
Oh, Matt, it's always great to see you. And one of the things that we were chatting about, I want our viewers to know is that we're going to have you back on doing business in Bentonville.
Oh, good.
And we are celebrating. We have just reached a new milestone doing business in Bentonville. We're now viewed in 100 countries.
Are you serious?
I am.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Andy, given
I
your leadership
oh, no.
and your background, I am not the least bit surprised.
It's all for the team. The team just told me that. Actually, they told me like 15 minutes ago. We were around the 90 countries, and we were just chatting about it, and they went, "Oh, we forgot to tell you." Because that tells you they do all the work. They know it. I didn't know it, and I give them all the credit. But it is, and I just want to say to all of our viewers and listeners are now around the world, we say thank you. We live, and I want to just talk to you about this just for a moment. But we live in an incredible place, don't we, Northwest Arkansas?
Oh my goodness, we live in the greatest place. The retail value chain. This is the heartbeat of the retail value chain.
Yes, it is. The heartbeat.
And you think about Walmart, a Walmart is like within a 10-minute drive of 90% of the country.
Right.
But at the same time, Walmart's ramping up e-commerce.
Yeah.
Pick up, deliver in home, drone delivery. this stuff is being conceptualized here and rolled out here. It's quite remarkable.
It is remarkable. And, I was reading this morning, actually, that, the Walmart's growth in grocery, it's 60% of their business today.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so it's phenomenal. And I remember this, and it's going to date me a bit back. And for our viewers, I've spent almost 30 years at Walmart. And I remember this when Sam Walton brought David Glass in as CFO. And David Glass came from the food background, as you know. When he came, I remember Sam Walton saying this. He said, "The future is food." We did not sell we sold a few grocery items, but in our candy department, if you will. But Sam Walton said it, and he said, and David Glass will help us get there. David Glass, thank you for your vision, because he really was a visionary.
He
of the
was
food.
a visionary.
And now for them to do Walmart, and I thought that was such a milestone. I read this morning, and I was so happy for what's taken place. But you're right. But what Walmart has accomplished, but not only is Walmart here, all the support organizations and what you all are doing at the University of Arkansas, Matt, and we'll get into that on our podcast, what you all are doing around the supply chain and other things at the University of Arkansas is phenomenal. So thank you for that.
Oh, yeah. One other thing about Walmart I wanted to say, because a lot of people don't know this, Walmart was the first company in the world to have a private satellite network.
Yeah.
Sam Walton wanted to be able to provide the home office with
Right.
POS and store information on a daily basis.
Right.
And to do that, they had to put in a satellite network, which was a big idea back in the 80s.
Oh, back in the 80s, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
But then, Sam Walton could speak on the intercom of any store in the country.
Right.
In fact, if you go in the renovated Walmart museum in Bentonville, they have his desk with the microphone on it.
Right.
That through that satellite network, he could connect to any store in the country and communicate. And the reason I think that's interesting is I think in any business, communication is one of the most important variables.
Absolutely. It is critical. And, Walmart did a great job of communicating. They still do a great job of communicating. I think Doug and his team does a great job of communicating not only to the associates around the world, but also to everyone else about what's happening and the opportunities and where they're going to go.
They do.
They create, and to your point, great communications create clarity, and clarity creates execution in the organization and individuals. So it works.
It does.
It does.
And, even the concept of having a electronic POS system.
Yeah. In the 80s.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How to use RFID in retail.
Yeah.
I mean, the list just goes on and on. And, I was thinking, with all of the potential cost increases associated with the tariffs and everything.
Right.
I think Walmart will gain market share.
Oh, definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
Because of EDLP.
Oh, yeah.
And, it's amazing that the concept of EDLP really was pushed by Jack Shoemaker.
It was. I remember Jack. Mm-hmm.
And
great job.
And, throughout the years, Walmart has had pressure to move away from EDLP.
Mm-hmm.
And for those listening who don't know, it stands for Everyday Low Price. But it's very clear that the closer they've stuck to it, the more they've won.
Well, yeah, and I think, too, what happened with the transformation, and I was, back when Jack was the president and CEO of Walmart, I was a store manager and district manager, and when he, said we're going to stop advertising, because we were driven, we were driven by weekly ads or monthly ads, and when he said that, I thought, that's not possible. But yet, it worked. And then, as you know, it transferred to the suppliers' everyday low costs now.
Yes.
And that, when they got it, when the suppliers got it, and they seen what would happen with sales and margins, they got on board. And that's, and I think to your point, I think that's, through this whole margins conversation that the world is having today, I think Walmart will continue to win.
I mean, a lot of times the mainstream media is critical of Walmart, but they don't realize all the innovation it's driven in our country, its buffer against inflation. It's done so much good. And even amongst suppliers, I one of the things I noticed when I moved here 30 years ago was how, with Walmart giving them all this data and their ability to speak into category, layout, and strategy, it creates innovative competition because these firms try to put their smartest people on these teams, and then they compete for good ideas and innovation that drives innovation in their companies that actually benefits other retailers.
Absolutely.
And I think of all these things, like even the idea of using distribution centers and retail, that was invented by Walmart.
Right.
The idea of using backhaul the way they do.
Right.
This list goes on and on. So, and you, right? We've got people like you who have been a part of creating these things, and they're still here.
Yeah.
And so you're helping to drive innovation here through doing business in Bentonville, and there's other people too. It's just amazing.
It is. Okay, so we're going to have you on the Doing Business in Bentonville podcast this fall. We're going to work that out because I can't wait to have you back on, and the conversation is going to be so rich. So I want all of our viewers and listeners to be watching for you. One last thing. Okay, back to the most important topic that we've talked about today is the hot wings.
Yes.
Okay, so now when is going to take place? And I want to take some photos and we can get this done. What is, the Matt Waller Award?
It's the Matt Waller Innovation Award.
Oh, no, okay, excuse me.
I like to say it's an oxymoron. They said, who is the least innovative person we can name this after? No, it's I don't know why they named it after me, but
all right, I could give our viewers like 100 reasons why.
But really, it's looking at people who are helping to drive innovation, not just in Northwest Arkansas, but in the world. Awesome. Maybe starting here.
Yeah.
And so this year's awardee, I can't announce right now.
Okay.
But it's a young lady. And she has done a lot to drive innovation in our entrepreneurial ecosystem in Northwest Arkansas.
Well, when you announced that, let's try to get her on our program today.
Oh, good.
Okay, let's get her here so she can talk about it. And
excellent.
Okay,
you'll love her. She's very easy to talk to.
Okay,
brilliant young lady.
We're in there. That's going to happen. Well, Dr. Waller, my friend, it's always great to see you.
Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for all you're doing.
No, thank you what you're doing, and I look forward to us spending more time together.
I look forward to it.
Okay,
too.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Matt. Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Wilson, and we're broadcasting from the Plug and Play event in downtown Bentonville, Arkansas, and my guest just showed up. And Devin, welcome to Doing Business in Bentonville.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.
Yeah, second time now.
Yeah, you were on with Josh, right? At Plug and Play.
Yep.
That's right. And your podcast has done really well. Thank you for being on it. And today, what we're doing, we're putting together a whole host of guests in and out today to get a flavor of what's going on here, so we can share this experience around the world with our viewers and listeners. So,
awesome.
Okay, so talk to us about your company, Squint. So tell us, what is it? What do you do? Where are you located? Tell us all about your company.
So we're a Series A startup. We're based out of San Francisco, California, and we make AI software for industrial companies, so manufacturers, supply chain companies, logistics, things like that. I'll give you maybe the one-liner of how it works.
Okay.
Which is, with Squint, you can go record a video of a factory operator doing any task, and our AI will watch that video, and it will write a step-by-step guide of what it saw, such that someone else can now perform that task like an expert. And then it actually becomes a tablet or phone app that new operators can use, and it uses augmented reality. So it uses the camera and it guides people step by step through what they're supposed to do. And all of that content is auto-generated using AI. And then because we have the camera on, we can actually check to see if people did the work correctly. And before they do something really wrong or hurt themselves, we can stop them and say, hey, you did step 17 wrong. Because now we know what it looks like and how it's supposed to work.
Okay, that's so exciting. And we are going to have a sessions here at this event about AI. And we had Shelley Simpson, the CEO. JB Hunt was talking about the advancement of the AI at JB Hunt.
Yep.
And it's such a wonderful, powerful topic today. I use AI. I have to tell you, it has saved me so much time in my work here at doing business in Bentonville. So now, if you can tell us, who are some of your customers that use this?
We work with basically like large enterprise manufacturing companies. So some examples would be Michelin, Siemens, Continental Tires, some food and beverage companies. So I think the common thread that I've seen with manufacturing companies is they're all struggling with workforce turnover right now. And so it actually doesn't matter what you're building or what you're making.
Wow.
They all have the same issue, and Squint helps with that.
Okay, when you were describing it in the detail earlier, the one-liner you mentioned, when you were describing it, you know what I thought about? I thought about the people on these assembly lines, and I thought about the hazard that can take place in those. That's where my mind automatically went. So, okay, how did you get to here? Tell us a little bit about how you came to develop this type of product.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting. My background is actually computer vision and AI, and I'm a software engineer originally.
Okay.
I have really no ties to manufacturing outside of the fact that I've now been immersed in it for 3.5 years.
Right.
But when I started the company, I had in my previous job, I'd worked with some customers that were industrial, and the thing I kept hearing was, when we're out in the field or out on the floor, we really don't have easy access to the information that we need to do the job right, and that leads to a lot of guessing.
Yeah.
And I don't like to guess in my job. I don't think anyone likes to guess at their job.
Right.
And yet it seems like that's been the status quo for 3-4 decades now in manufacturing. And so we built the business to solve that problem and to bring people the right information at the right time on the job at their fingertips.
Wonderful. So what are the benefits? What are from that you have measured through this process? I'm sure you measured all these benefits and looked at it. And so tell us some of the outcomes.
Yeah. That's a great question. I think ultimately Squint helps with kind of two main outcomes. One is downtime reduction in a manufacturing environment. Another one is kind of an increase in quality. And both of those are really stemming from the same thing, which is human mistake causing, a bad outcome.
Right.
And so some examples would be, I was at a factory a couple of weeks ago. One of our customers and the quality manager came up to me and they were like, hey, we just measured the results with Squint, and I had to count 3 times because it didn't make sense. But he said, we went from having 12 mistakes per shift to 0 post Squint. And he was like, we just don't have human error anymore. And the impact that makes to a manufacturing company's bottom line is massive, right?
It's massive.
The margins is where we live.
It's massive.
Yeah.
And not only for productivity, but for safety. You mentioned earlier is safety, but productivity is critical to any organization, right? And then the people that have also, they can learn to do that job more efficient because of what you're doing. And the better they become, the more efficient organizations become. So people that are listening to this around the world, how do they get in touch with you? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the great thing about today is you can go to our website.
Yeah.
So you can find us there.
Yeah.
So
what is your website? What's your address?
Squint.ai.
Okay.
So you can find us online, and then we'd be happy to set folks up with either a pilot or a demo, and you can actually try Squint for yourself. The easiest and coolest thing I would recommend is when you talk to someone on our team, send them a video of work that happens on your floor, and they'll instantly turn it into an AI-generated SOP.
Okay. Are you in Northwest Arkansas often?
I've been here a couple times this year.
Okay.
We have some customers in the area, so
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
happy to come here more.
Okay. Here's what I want to do. I want to have you on our Doing Business in Bentonville podcast, and we can remote you in from California, or if you're in Northwest Arkansas, you can come to our studio.
Okay.
Because what you're doing, I think, is so critical to productivity in this whole space, and safety, and people learning their jobs. And I think you're onto something incredible here. And now what I'd like to do is have you back in, and let's spend 30, 40 minutes together really laying this out. And then when we post the video, we can put links to your organization. We can even show some, video or whatever. But
Sure.
I am intrigued by this, and I want to talk more with you and learn more about your company and get you out to. We have about viewed in about, I was just told, 100 countries now, and so let's get you out there, and so people can get and learn this and get more productive in the organization. So will you come back?
Of course.
Okay.
I love Bentonville.
Okay.
so
All
I'll
right.
be here.
I'm gonna give you
Let me know.
my card. I want
Yeah.
you to come back. This is so exciting. I'm so glad you stopped by the booth. Thank you for doing that, and I just wish you all the luck in your organization.
Thanks so much.
All right,
This
thank
is great.
you. It's been
Thanks for
great
having me.
visiting with you.
Yeah.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Andy Wilson, and I'm with Doing Business in Bentonville, and we're so excited because we're broadcasting from a great event with Plug and Play downtown Bentonville, Arkansas. And I need to throw in for all my cycling friends, the mountain bike capital of the world. So here we are. We want to get straight to my guest, though. Kate Powell, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, this is so exciting because we're going to get to talk about one of my favorite companies in Northwest Arkansas, of course, is Tyson Foods. But you also work. Tell us what you do with the Tyson brand, I guess we could say, right?
Absolutely. So I work for Tyson Ventures, which is the corporate venture capital arm of Tyson Foods. So we invest in really exciting startups that have innovations in emerging proteins, technology enablers, and what we call people, planet, and agriculture. So it's a really exciting space to be in where we really act as a catalyst of innovation for Tyson Foods.
Okay, are you working on anything exciting that you can tell our folks about?
I am. So I'm working on, I call it our Tyson version of Shark Tank, if you will. So we host Tyson Demo Day every year. We're in our 4th year right now. Applications are open until May 2nd for startups to apply, and then we host in person at World Headquarters in Springdale, Arkansas on July 9th. We change topics year to year, so we've done sustainability, we've done upcycling. Last year we did supply chain tech, which is why we're here at Plug and Play's event today. And then this year we're focusing on what we're calling AI from concept to consumer, brand engagement and innovation. So it's a really exciting spot where we're looking at startups that are innovating with artificial intelligence and consumer insights, product innovation, how we connect with our customers and consumers. So a really exciting space.
Well, that is exciting, and I love what's going on at Tyson Foods right now, and all the creative things that Tyson is doing, the new products they're doing,
Yes.
the way that you all are upgrading your facilities, and it's so. I would say it appears from outside looking in, it would be a great time to be at Tyson.
Absolutely. I love working at Tyson. It is a great place to be. And we really are focused on innovation in so many different areas, like you said, from our facilities to our supply chain to our actual portfolio of products. So we have one of the largest innovation portfolio that we've ever had at Tyson Foods right now. So it's very exciting. You've probably seen our Razorback nuggets, our Cowboys nuggets. So there's a lot of really exciting things that are coming out of Tyson right now.
Okay, I gotta come real here. Okay, I bought the Tyson the Razorback nuggets.
Yes.
Okay, I had to do it, right? So
Absolutely.
I mean, with all the stuff that happened with our great local Razorback, especially with basketball most recently.
Absolutely.
Right, we had to do it. I love that. So what else is going on that you can share with us?
Sure. So, Tyson Demo Day is really our biggest focus right now for my department, for Tyson Ventures. Other things that are going on, we're always focused on innovations in our supply chain, innovations that we can focus for operational excellence, customer and consumer obsession, what we call data and digital delivery, our team members as well. So we're really focused on the future of Tyson.
That is so exciting. One of the things that we get the opportunity to live in Northwest Arkansas,
Absolutely.
and we get to to immerse ourselves in all the innovation that's taking place, just like today at Plug and Play event.
Yes.
And we just had Shelley Simpson, CEO.
She was incredible. She's a
tell
great
you-
speaker.
Oh my goodness. Didn't she do great?
Yes.
Shelley, I've known Shelley for years. She's been on doing business in Bentonville before. And I just had one of her colleagues on, and she talked about innovation.
Yeah.
Mainly, especially in the technology space and all the things they're doing to to help their truck drivers be safer. Isn't that a phenomenal focus within?
Absolutely.
So I know you mentioned earlier you've done several things around innovation.
Sure.
Anything there you want to visit about?
Yeah, so you might have heard Donnie King, so our CEO, chat about, and I'll make a little plug in there. So I actually work as a program manager as well for our investor relations team. So in our last earnings call, we really focused on our data and digital delivery and how we're using innovations in how we use our data, how we connect with our customers, how we can meet customers where they're at. So Donnie likes to say that, continuous improvement is continuous improvement. We're constantly improving upon what we're doing.
I think you're right. I think Donnie King's another one of those leaders, and I know him personally that he has brought that within when he came to the company, back to the company, I guess we should say.
Absolutely.
When he came back, he had this I could tell from listening and watching him, this determination
Sure.
to even make Tyson a greater organization.
Absolutely.
And I see that you all are doing that. And congratulations to you on that. It's
Yeah.
wonderful what's going on.
Definitely. And, Donnie started as a night shift plant manager with Tyson Foods. So I really love his story about how, he's really started at a plant and now he's our CEO. And he really has an eye for our frontline team members and what it means to talk to our customers. So we have a really good eye for innovation from that perspective.
Wonderful. Well, it's so great to have you on. And I want to give you an opportunity again to say anything else about Tyson Ventures or about the organization.
Yeah.
Anything else you would like to add for our viewers and listeners?
Absolutely. I will make another call to action for Tyson Demo Day. So our applications are open through May 2nd.
Okay.
And then we let startups know if they've been selected mid-June. And then we host at World Headquarters in Springdale, Arkansas on July 9th. So if you'd like to apply, visit our Tyson Ventures LinkedIn page, has all the information, all the links that you need to find there.
And I'll tell you, if you love, after this, we can download your information, your link or whatever for
Sure.
people, so you can go to our website, Doing Business in Bentonville, and you can check out. We're going to be posting this podcast on our website, and we can add that link to people that are interested.
That would be
We're glad to do
wonderful. I
that.
would appreciate
We'll
it.
grab that information afterwards. Well, thank you so much for being here. Kate, I'm glad I've got to meet you. The best to you and your team on what you're doing. I hope you have just a phenomenal year at Tyson Foods.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having me.
All right. Thank you. Well, hello, everyone. I'm Andy Wilson. I'm broadcasting live down at the Plug and Play event downtown Bentonville, Arkansas. And I will tell you, I have just met the most interesting person. I'm just going to tell you got to lean into this. This is just going to be great. Mir, welcome to Doing Business in Bentonville.
It's so good to be here. Thank you.
Wow, we met on the way to lunch, I think, right? And you and your a partner from New York, I believe, in New Jersey, New York, together, and so we had a nice little chat. And thank you for taking a few minutes to speak with us today about your wonderful company and about your country. I think you have come the furthest to Arkansas, all the way from Tel Aviv.
Yeah, you don't get here by accident.
So I have met people from Tel Aviv before, but I've never met them in Northwest Arkansas. So welcome to Northwest Arkansas.
Thank you. It's my first time here, and it's been surprising and wonderful.
Right. We have a very unique corner of the world here, and the wonderful thing is people have found out about it, and we continue to grow, and we just love how the whole area is growing well. We've got just a beautiful community here. So I put a plug in for Northwest Arkansas.
I'll second your plug, which is sometimes you have to come from the outside to
Yeah.
notice some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And what's happening here is really amazing.
But I've been here over 30 years, and as my career was with Walmart before I started doing podcasts, so it's wonderful. Raised our daughter here, and she has a family here now, settled in. It's a beautiful place, and so it's just great. It's just got a great feel to it. All right, now let's get in and talk about your company, what you do, and we'll just navigate through some wonderful conversation.
For sure. So I'm with Maniv. It's an early stage venture capital fund. Our rule of thumb is if you heard of the company, it's too late for us. We invest in, a founder and a deck.
I love that.
Earliest possible stages, only in the building blocks of the physical economy. So we'll invest into the movement of people and goods. We'll invest into manufacturing, into supply chain, into transportation. We're backed by some of the biggest players in the industry in that space, alongside financial investors.
Mm-hmm.
And we're based out of Tel Aviv in New York, which can be a little surprising for people. It's not an obvious place to run this from, but it allows us to take kind of a zoomed out view, where you can start seeing problems on a global scale. You start seeing a startup in Europe, and a startup in India, and a startup in the U.S., and a startup in Israel that are all tackling a similar problem. Sometimes they're tackling it in really different ways. Sometimes that means one of them has an advantage over the other. Sometimes it just means, hey, there are 4 ways to view this problem. There are a lot of ways to tackle this problem, and they might be relevant in different ways or in different contexts. So that's how we're thinking about this. It's these problems start to rhyme. They start to rhyme across industries. They start to rhyme across geographies. And if you can take that view and start trying to make sense of some of the big problems in the physical economy.
Well, that's wonderful. I like your philosophy of investing. It sounds like you've got a great philosophy with that. Tell us about the company. How old's the company? And then we'll circle back because I got a couple other questions. But tell us about the company first.
So we've been investing. It's our third fund now. We've been investing for about 7 or 8 years.
Okay.
And our DNA is automotive.
Okay.
The founding partner, my partner Mike, he actually was the first investor into a company called Better Place, which was this wild bet. And if you have time to Google it, look it up on Wikipedia, it was a wild bet. They raised $1 billion. They managed to lose it all, which is not ideal.
Yeah.
But it was a wild swing in 2006 to try and electrify entire countries' transportation. It was a swap network with Renault cars that could be robotically swapped out, the batteries robotically swapped out. And what it would allow you to do is once you had the infrastructure in place, you could sell a $20,000 EV at cost parity with the gas vehicle. And instead of charging, just drive into the gas station, which was a robotic swap station, swap out the battery, keep driving. And so they came quite close. If you go to Israel, you can still see old Better Place swap stations that are now unfortunately carcasses.
Yeah.
They deployed across a couple countries, ran out of cash, and died spectacularly. And Maniv kind of emerged from the ashes of that, where we started to see all of a sudden, first in Israel, all of these interesting companies that were trying to access automotive and other legacy industries, all these startups that had no access to legacy industry in the physical world. And so we started Fund 1. It's a small fund focused on Israel, mostly automotive. When we went out to raise Fund 2, all of a sudden, other kinds of solutions and startups became available to us and started popping up, touching not just automotive and transportation, but logistics, supply chain. We started to see the early AI solutions. And we also started to see this all over the world, not just in Israel. So we expanded our focus, and now we're investing out of our third fund, and we truly have a global view. We have about 40 portfolio companies across 9 countries, mostly the US, Israel, and the EU, probably in that order. But we have an investment or two in India, Brazil, Mexico. And our philosophy is let the best ideas come from wherever they come from. The important thing is to understand the problem set and understand the access point into industry.
Right. So how do you, that's fascinating, by the way. Yeah, I thank you for sharing that, because I think you painted a beautiful photo, a picture, if you will, of your company and your beginning. Now, if our viewers or listeners are interested, how do they contact you, or do you contact them? How does your process work?
Oh, absolutely. We are probably one of the few VC funds that religiously read inbound emails. And we have a contact form at maniv.com/contact, or just click contact.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right URL, but please,
Yeah.
if you're reaching out, some of our best investments came from entrepreneurs who reached out on our website. We read them.
Well, you sound like you do, because one of the things that got me excited when you were talking was that you deal with smaller startups or smaller entrepreneurs, and a lot of times that group is hard for them to penetrate an investor fund.
Yeah.
So, but it sounds like that's what you do, and that's exciting.
Yeah, we love talking to entrepreneurs with good ideas. And by the way, it cuts both ways.
Yeah.
It's not just that the entrepreneurs can't find us.
Yeah.
It's that these young entrepreneurs and industry can't necessarily connect.
Yeah.
It's a really hard kind of two-sided problem here. And we, what we say is, if we didn't have, we would be doing this without a fund. It's just no one cares until you have one.
Yeah.
So we're transportation geeks. We would love to talk to people with good ideas. It's just that it ends up until you have a fund, no one cares.
Okay, now, so is that why you're here at this event? Because is it a small event, or tell us why you're here? What's your purpose?
So we have a couple of friends in the supply chain space in the area that we've been looking for an excuse to come and meet in person.
Okay.
It's amazing what you can do by video, but it's not the same.
All right.
And we saw this event and we thought, this is the excuse.
Yeah.
First of all, to meet the players in Bentonville, to hear the speakers here, it's been really interesting.
Right.
But also an excuse to see some of our friends that we hadn't seen in a long time.
Wonderful.
So it's a package deal.
Yeah, well, we're glad you're here in Northwest Arkansas. You mentioned Israel. I've been to Israel a few times, and I will tell you, it's such a wonderful country, and I enjoy my visits there, and the history and the learning is spectacular. And so as you were talking about Israel, I quickly had flashbacks of wonderful visits there and the people.
It's this country of wonderful paradoxes.
It is.
Ancient and new, innovative and strangely traditional. It's great. Yeah.
It is. It really is. It is such a great country. Okay, what else? As you look at the landscape, and from your point of view, what are some things you're working on in either supply chain space or other spaces that are just creative, they're new, and they're things that you're really excited about?
Can I use this as a call out to entrepreneurs? Something
Yes.
that just I've been ruminating about in my mind that I want someone to come and solve. Come talk to me if you have a solution.
Okay.
This industry is the strangest combination of concentrated and crazy fragmented. And, I would love to speak to startups that have interesting ideas about how do you break into this space?
Yeah.
I think we've seen this huge wave of entrepreneurship and innovation in the supply chain, particularly when freight rates were high.
Yes.
You look at logistics tech investment from 2019 to 2021, and it was a bonanza.
Yes, absolutely.
And then freight rates fell.
We heard Shelley Simpson, CEO of JB Hunt, talk about that, right?
And it's hard. And the JB Hunts of the world probably felt the pain. If you're a startup that came into that with 6 months of runway, it's really hard.
Yeah.
And so we're looking for startups that have innovative ideas, but also really innovative ideas of how do you crack this market? Mm-hmm. Either how do you grab the attention of a JB Hunt, or is there a way to reach all these mom and pop truckers?
Yeah.
Is there a way to do that as a startup?
Right.
How do you lower the cost of entry? How do you ease the way into a market that simultaneously has these huge players ahead of the market? Mm-hmm. Such a long tail on the back end.
Mm-hmm. So here's their opportunity, right, to reach out to you.
Please, and if you think I'm wrong for asking the question, tell me that too. I'd love to hear why I'm wrong.
Okay. Anything else that you're really hot about right now from the future?
I think that we're at a moment in AI where everyone's talking about it, and it's cheap to do so. But I think if you dig 2 or 3 layers deeper, there's actually a much more complicated story, where I think we can call the game on in the IT side. Mm-hmm. Inside the computer itself, we can call the game. It's going to take a while for the digital world to fully embrace and integrate AI.
Right.
But we see how it's useful. Right. You see how it's being used in coding, how it's being used in searching and query and database. It's just a matter of time until it finds its place in the digital world.
I think you're right. In fact, I've spoken with several of the guests today, and they've all talked about AI, and each of them, it's a common thread, and they just talked about how AI will help people to be more efficient, more productive. It's not about replacing people, is what they're telling me. It's more about creating efficiencies, safety even, and things. So I think you're right. I think it's find this place.
But I think there's a complicating factor, which is there's a gap between the digital world and the physical world. And I don't think it's a finished story yet. Exactly how AI interacts with the real world.
Yeah.
That leap, it's not so simple.
Right.
I can tell you right now, call the game. AI can write code. But can I tell you that the current wave of robotics, enabled by the current wave of AI, can really be useful in a factory yet? It's borderline.
Yeah.
And that frontier, that's where the startups come to play.
Right. Well, Mira, I think you're so interesting, and something I'd like to just I think we could really go down on the subject. I like it, and I would love to talk to you. So here's what I'm going to do. I want to invite you back on Doing Business in Bentonville, and we can remote you in from Tel Aviv. Okay, you don't have to come. And if you want to come back to Arkansas, we have a beautiful studio here. But if not, we could remote you in. And I would love to go deeper on some of the things you're working on in your company. I'd like to even go deeper around let's getting this out to more entrepreneurs, what you're doing. And if we can help you do that through our network, we'd love to help you do that, because I believe the future in so many things are these entrepreneurs. And then your company coming behind and supporting those that you choose to, I think it creates a whole new ecosystem. So I'd like to welcome you back.
I'd be honored. And if you want to convince, the travel team on my staff that I have to come back to Bentonville to do it, I wouldn't argue.
Okay, well, we'd love to have you come back.
Cut off the remote option.
Well, we'd love to have you come back. It's been great to meet you. I'm glad we got to spend a few moments together. But I want to wish you the best, your company, and the best. And I'm just so happy to have met you and that you're visiting Northwest Arkansas.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for talking to a stranger a couple minutes ago.
I know. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and I hope we can visit again.
Would love that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Wilson, and we are broadcasting from the Plug and Play event in downtown Bentonville, Arkansas. What a great day we're having. We had so many wonderful guests in, and there's another guest I'd like to introduce you to, Alex Rodine. Welcome.
Thank you, Andy.
It's so great to have you. Now, you're from the state of Georgia, and tell everyone what you do.
So I work for ATDC, which is the state of Georgia's tech incubator, and I run the supply chain vertical.
Wonderful.
So we're sponsored by the Home Depot, great Georgia company.
Great company.
It is.
Great company.
It's an incredible
Oh,
company.
man, I got a story on Home Depot. I have to say it. All right, okay, but I guess we should move on. But, my career was at Walmart, so, of course, Walmart and Home Depot, we were such great friends. And the founder of Walmart and Sam Walton and the founder of Home Depot were great friends. And so, anyway, what a great company and what a great state.
It's a great state, as is Arkansas.
Yeah.
The ecosystem here is incredible. I can't get back to Northwest Arkansas enough.
Well, we're glad you're here, okay?
Glad to
so
be
welcome. Now, as we've had our previous guests on and talked about supply chain at the University of Arkansas, so you do the same thing for Georgia Tech then, right?
That's correct.
So talk about that with us, what you do.
So I'm working with early stage technology founders focused on supply chain solutions. We're housed at Georgia Tech, but we're for the whole state.
Right.
As you can imagine, I spend a lot of time in Savannah. I'm an Army veteran, so a lot of time visiting Columbus and Augusta and the military installations around the state, working with service members who are moving to the civilian side, and they've got a lot of experience in supply chain.
Right.
So thinking about what those solutions can look like. Two-time co-founder, so I'm a big believer in entrepreneurship as a great path for service members.
That's wonderful. Well, I will tell you, supply chain is so critical, as we know.
Absolutely.
And we'll talk a bit about that. In fact, I'm sure you heard Shelley Simpson,
Yes.
CEO JB Hunt.
Yes.
And she's been on Doing Business in Bentonville before a few times, and she said, "Hey, I'm going to come back on. Love to have her." But she gave a great talk about supply chain.
She did.
Your takeaway from some of the things that Shelley said.
Well, supply chain is so complex, and so challenging. And obviously we're dealing with a lot of news coming out about tariffs and what that impact might be. But her point's just about supply chain is so critical, and even businesses. For example, I'm working with health systems in Georgia.
Okay.
After Hurricane Helene came through, there was a recognition that they had to better understand their supply chain.
Right.
Because you can't stop providing care even when there's an emergency. And so the understanding and embracing of supply chain is just critical, and I think people more and more are understanding the impact it has, and it needs to be done well.
Well, COVID taught us that. There's,
Absolutely.
COVID is such a date now. We talk before, we talk after.
Yes.
And we talk about and the great thing that I'm sure you did, and I'd like to know, was you learned some significant things after COVID that you're applying today to supply chain? Anything significant there?
Absolutely. So one is just, literally we had a situation where a container ship got sideways in the Suez Canal and disrupted global trade for weeks. So that's the fragility of supply chain, but also what COVID taught us is the need to have a resilient supply chain and to think about all aspects of it. I think a lot of companies knew that they were somehow involved with supply chain. They didn't understand their supply chain as well as they do now.
Right. What are some of the things, if you can share with us, that at Georgia Tech you're working on?
So obviously everyone's talking about AI these days.
Right.
And for me, when you think about the supply chain space, I'm very focused on solutions utilizing AI that take a job that's not easy and make it easier. So if you think predictive analytics, so if you're managing a 1 million square foot facility, you've got machines operating all over it. If AI can help you know to go look at machine 14 as part of your PMCS process and fix something before it's broken, that's invaluable.
Well, Shelley talked about AI and the work that JB Hunt is doing in the supply chain space, plus even their truck drivers in keeping them safe. And she talked about the theft. I was surprised, about that. So you're really focused, and that's the great thing is what's happening. In fact, I had guests on earlier, and that's what they do is AI. They do that. So
and candidly, at the end of the day, supply chains are still going to be human dependent. AI has a role to play. It has value to bring. But at the end of the day, if you're doing a delivery, that truck driver is the source of truth for that delivery. They can tell you, I'm stuck in traffic, there's no gate code, and I can't get in. They've got that information. So anything we can do to support the human in the loop who's making the delivery, as one example within supply chain, is critical.
That's wonderful. That's incredible. From where we've come on supply chain since COVID, if that's the day forward, it's amazing what's happened in supply chain. And based on what you're telling us, the future around AI is only getting more impactful, right?
Without question, but humans will not be replaced.
Right, absolutely. No, we're not. We'll be enhanced and do our jobs more efficient, I believe.
Yes.
Because of AI.
Agreed. So embracing AI and understanding how it can make your job easier is I think the right way to consider it.
Well, Alex, anything else you want to share about this great state of Georgia and the things that you're working on?
As is the case in Arkansas as well, and across the entire Southeast, Georgia has a real commitment to economic development, supporting entrepreneurs. I know that's the case here in Arkansas, which I really appreciate. One of the great things I want is strong ecosystems all around the United States. Entrepreneurs are going to be everywhere. I'm obviously partial to Georgia, but I want entrepreneurs in Northwest Arkansas or Little Rock or anywhere else in the great state of Arkansas to know they've got a resource, and that's what's incredible about the University of Arkansas, the work they're doing, what's taking place with Plug and Play. So it's really great that they've welcomed me into the ecosystem.
Well, welcome to Northwest Arkansas. We're glad you're here. If you haven't grabbed a bike since you've been here and have time, you got to go on the bike. This is the mountain bike capital of the world. The reason I'm saying that, I ride mountain bikes and I ride here, and it's phenomenal. And we have people all over the world that visit this great state. So I give Arkansas a little plug there.
Absolutely.
But you have a great state also, and it's a wonderful state. I had an opportunity to spend a lot of time in Georgia. And I tell you, all those wonderful associates that work in those Walmart stores in Georgia, I always want to give them and say thank you for what they do.
Absolutely.
Because they do a great job also with the state. So, Alex, it's been wonderful having you on.
Andy, thank you so
And
much.
thank you for stopping by, spending a few minutes. I want to wish you all the best.
Thank you.
In what you're doing. And the other thing, thank you for your service to our country.
Thank
you for that. And where were you? Where did you serve?
Well, I went through basic training at Fort Leonard Wood.
Okay.
So that's when the first time I got exposed to Northwest Arkansas
Okay.
was when we would
Good.
get some leave. And so I was a military police officer and then was a drill sergeant.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, being an entrepreneur, I found a lot when I left active duty that resonated in the startup ecosystem, things that I enjoyed about being in service.
All right.
Crossed over to being an entrepreneur, and I'm very grateful for that.
Wonderful. Well, again, I want to wish you the best.
Thank you so much,
And then I hope to see you again.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thanks you.
Thanks so much
It's
for the
been,
time, Andy.
Been a pleasure. Okay.
Great to see you.
All right.
Thank
Have
you.
a great event.
Thank you.